All right. So the next story I wanted to go over is the WWDC event for Apple. So
Okay.
that's the developer conference event that Apple puts on, where they release the software updates that they're going to be doing. So it's not hardware discussions. I love this one because the hardware is great, but hardware is I'm not sitting there with my iPhone going, I can't wait for the next iPhone. But a new software update can be significant. It could change the way that people behave.
Hmm.
So you don't watch the WWDC, right? You're not.
Not very
It's not
often. No, I'm not much of a
actually.
Apple
Are you
guy.
an Android person?
I'm very much an Android person.
You look like an Android person. Of course, you are an Android person. What are we talking about?
I
Well, what's
like
great
to
about
I like to own my device, Tom. I don't like the manufacturer dictating what I can do with my device.
excuse me, we're all owned by the tech oligarchs, okay? Let's just get on with it, all right? I like to say that we live in, our goal is to live in District 1. That's it, okay? From Hunger Games. That's all we're looking for. I'm not
Right,
looking for
right.
anything else. For what's great for this is to me possibly is the most shocking WWDC that we ever saw because what Apple has been doing for years now is really doubling down on privacy. That privacy is like what they care about, and it's sort of like because you're in this walled garden of their apps, they can sort of like make sure that privacy is respected by the different apps and that your data is being used in a responsible way. Blah 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 blah. Whether that's happening or not, I don't care. That's the message that they were saying. Well, now they're joining with OpenAI,
Mhm.
and their device now is essentially on the 15 Pro and up. Basically, imagine ChatGPT everywhere in this device, where it's not only is Siri now actually upgraded to something that could potentially be useful, as opposed to the joke that it's been for years, but the context of your own activity on the phone, your notes, your reminders, your calendars, your emails, your chat messages, all that is context that becomes available to the what they call Apple Intelligence, as opposed to the co-op AI. What becomes available to them, and so that it can surface all kinds of new types of behavior that we haven't seen before. Now, what they talk about in the advertisement for it is stuff like, you know, you'll ask, when is my mother gonna land in at the airport, and I'll tell you when it's gonna land at the airport, and you'll say, okay, what time do I have to leave in order to get to the restaurant for our meal at 7 o'clock? And
Mhm.
then because it knows the context of your messages and what you don't have to tell it what restaurant you're going to, because it knows from your messages that this is the restaurant you wanted to go to, even if you just said it in the text. And then it'll check on maps and what's the flight, and it'll figure out all that out for you and then give you the answer. That's like the dream. But this is not the part I care about for retail trading. What I care about for retail trading is that um, there's so many conversations that I'm having on my Apple devices about trade ideas that I find good, about my behavior, why certain trades succeeded or failed, about certain types of social media clips that I've shared back and forth, and to be able to potentially ask the system, hey, based on my behavior over the last month, what are some of the trades I missed out on that I might have taken part of had I continued down that path? What sort of behavior have I exhibited before I made a big mistake, before I YOLO'd into a position that I shouldn't have? That it can actually pay attention to behavior without me having to sit down and painfully grab my trade logs, feed it into AI, grab my messages, feed it into AI, which I don't really want to do. Like, I'm too embarrassed by that. But if I could just ask my system one day when I feel confident, I feel confident one day, I could just ask the system, hey, these questions, and then it could surface this information for me. That to me would be a game changer, because then, as far as as far as retail trading behavior is concerned, because the AIs now can then start surfacing information that I didn't have before, and other people's information. So I could say, for my trading group, hey, let's all well, they're all Android people too. They're not using AI. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's just going to be us Apple folk. But anyways, I'm curious. Let me just sum it up in this way. Um, the idea of an AI system that has access to all your information is that, and for which it can help you with trading. Is that something that appeals to you, knowing that information is being sent off to a cloud somewhere and other people are going to own it?
I mean, it does to me because I'm perfectly content with having the aspects of my private life introduced to an environment like this. In other words, I accepted the terms of service when I signed up for, these platforms, right? Uh, and mainly because the trade-off is I give up some of my privacy in exchange for conveniences in my life that make my life more interesting and augmented in some meaningful way, or some way that improves or speeds things up or whatever, right? Your scenario of being able to trade to improve your trading activity through AI analysis, I think is excellent. It's like having a risk manager evaluating you at all times and helping you through analyzing your best trades versus your worst. And there's a lot of really cool ways in which we could use technology like this to help improve our lives. At the end of the day, I think I'm always interested in whether or not it adds to my quality of life. If I'm giving up privacy for a worse experience and I'm the product as a result, and I'm not getting the benefit out of it, then yes, I'm less interested. I think that's probably why I migrated away from Facebook. I didn't see the benefit anymore. Like,
Right.
why should you have all this information? And at the end of the day, it's just not an environment that's that interesting anymore.
I'm looking forward to trying with this new version. I want to set it up as I believe we could set it up as a shortcut that I wanted to just send me an email because you could draft your emails if you wanted to. And I wanted to be able to draft an email that sends automatically to me every week a summary of how I the what I did that week, including
Mm,
for trading, and
mhm.
so that I'm getting this email that's happening every week that I can't ignore. Like I ignore at my own peril because it's me, it's my own behavior that's being surfaced. I'm already doing something similar, not exactly, but doing something similar with Grok
Twitter.
on Twitter.
Mhm.
I don't know if you use it much, but
I do.
as soon as there's a subject I'm interested in, GameStop, if I'm interested in it, I'm going to Grok and I'm asking them to synthesize the information or surface all the tweet threads that are interesting that have this type of take on the subject, and then I get all that information. I go, I mean, before I could not have gotten that information previously, much
Mhm.
less like go through all the hashtag on Twitter in order to find it out. And so to me, the reason why I think that I'm perfectly happy to give up this privacy is that it has already shown me such a great benefit. Now the nefarious things they're going to do about it with it, I mean, nothing can stop it. The I saw a TED talk, what is it, 10 years ago now, where uh, some people would opt out in the cell phone. For example, a person might say, "I don't want a cell phone because I don't want cell phone companies to be able to track my data, my whereabouts, and all that sort of thing," or opt out of Facebook or what have you. And then they'll show a graph of what the company has, and they'll see black holes where people have turned off their thing, and then you can infer what it would be based on their activity with everyone else that they're connected to. So almost like you became even more visible because you decided to opt out of this whole privacy thing. So I've given up on that, and speaking to my anarchist friends, they don't like that, but I have seen my life get measurably better, more improved, more productive. The more
Mhm.
I've been like, let me give up privacy, and it makes me like um, act better. I go, if this AI, if the system knows what I'm doing, let me not do things that I know are wrong. And then if this AI is tracking what I'm doing for my trades, I'd be like, well, I'm going to be careful with the message I sent to my brother about, hey, should we YOLO into a thing because it's coming back into a report to me in a week from now that I don't want to read, and it'll very likely will change my behavior potentially for the better.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of reminds me, like, even at the most fundamental level, I saw this recently on Twitter. Guy had a blood pressure machine attached to him, and he was day trading on the monitors. And effectively, anytime his blood pressure went over a certain level, he stopped trading because it was like that emotionality was what was contributing to negative returns, right? I think using systems like these, if they can help put you on the guide rails to making better decisions, I think that's ultimately what we're after. We spoke about this a couple of times now, and that's distinguishing between luck and skill. And part of the skill comes from making just great high probability decisions over and over and over and over again. It's why we do automated trading in the first place. We're trying to isolate the best decision making into a system that isn't going to falter from emotionality and inconsistency and so on and so forth. So, anytime we can use AI to reason through things or think through a decision, I think that's what it should be leveraged for. I remember Sam Altman was interviewed recently about the accuracy of the model's responses. And they were, it was early days, right? Like the initial, what the hell is hallucinations kind of thing? Like, why is it telling you things that don't exist? And people were really concerned about the accuracy of the responses. But his rebuttal to that, I thought was fascinating and something to think about when it comes to using AI. He said it's not really meant to give you accurate information. It's there to help you reason through things. And it's that reasoning aspect that I think people might be missing when it comes to using these tools. It can be and is designed to help you make better decisions, to make more strategic, thoughtful decisions, right? The researchers that I shared yesterday in our Slack channel that use ChatGPT to beat analysts on the market. That research paper is something worth talking about here, because the way that they prompted the LLM was to explain what changes took place in the quarterly reports that led to better or worse earnings in the future. And it was that specific prompting that helped the LLM understand what it should be looking for and how to work through all this context in the quarterly reports in order to give a better than average prediction on forward earnings. And it beat the median analysts by like 37 basis points per month. So in a given year, that's like 4.5% alpha. It's a pretty big difference in terms of spotting companies that would have improved forward earnings based on these quarterly reports and the context of those quarterly reports. So this is what I think about when I consider sort of yielding my life or yielding my input and all my strategic thought to LLM models. It's improving my ability to reason through decisions, to think about things in that second level thinking format, like we were talking about earlier.
I mean, that's a great point. And I mean, before on Facebook, we gave all our information and all we got were ads. Now we give all our information, and what we get is potentially a better version of ourselves. I think that's a fair deal.
I'm
I don't know
down.
what my data is worth, but it's definitely worth that.
I'm game.